Hey everybody, welcome back to Good Stories. I'm Josh Haynes and this is my friend Oscar Mendoza, and I think by now hopefully you know why we're here. If you don't, just keep listening. We're going to tell you some good stories and hopefully you are going to be encouraged. Hopefully you're going to find out that the world is still good, that there are good people doing great things all the time. And Oscar, I was going to throw the first story over to you kind of as we normally do in this format, but what is this piece of trash sitting in front of me right here on the table?
Well, actually, it's not trash. You know how they say one man's trash is another man's treasure?
I've heard.
That's when someone in NASCAR has a bad day.
Okay, so how did you get this?
Well, so I got to go to the NASCAR race this week. They're in Bristol, Tennessee, and, well, let's just say he ended up in the wall a few times, and so I was able to partake in a few memories.
Yeah.
That's why they call it memorabilia.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so it's not trash. It is a great memento from a very cool race. I'm happy that you got to do that. I know how much you love NASCAR, clearly by the rest of the stuff sitting on the table.
Absolutely.
But let's move that past that stuff once you go ahead and tell us a good story.
Our first story takes us to Liberty University, where a 21-year-old student, Imani Lamar, informed her instructor, Dr. Akil Dix, that she wouldn't be able to attend the next class because she didn't have a babysitter. You know, and instead he said, no, that's not acceptable, which you would think that would be a bad reason or a bad answer. And instead, he's like, because you're going to bring the baby to class. You could see video where he's holding the baby while he's instructing the class. He said he would rather have a daycare in the back of his classroom than have his students miss class because of that. On his Instagram, he says that it takes a village and that educators are more than just their title. He's helped other students in the past, but he said that he didn't want to be recognized for that. He wanted to instead highlight the importance of bringing attention to teachers who he believes are the least respected profession that's out there.
Yeah, I think that's such a great story, and I cannot imagine being another student in the class watching this professor hold this baby while he instructs in order to make certain that all of his students can be in class and be a part of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. It's an amazing story.
We're going to make this next story very quick, and part of it is because we're going to show you a very cool story from the video. I want to introduce you to Chris Jackson. He's also known as Mr. Chris at the Unity Grove Elementary School in Locust Grove, Georgia. He works there, maybe as one of the hardest working people there, as a custodian for the school. And he's known to be a hard worker. He's known to be a kind man. He's a major contributor to all of the good things that are happening in the school and even in the community. And during the crazy times of COVID, he fell on hard times himself. He doesn't have a car, or at least he didn't have a car.
Right.
And many of the people who loved him, who surrounded him, teachers, parents, and other administration officials, did not give up on him. He did not give up on himself, and he put himself to work trying to save up as much money as he could to come up with transportation. He wasn't all the way there yet, and so the teachers and the parents and the other admins came up with something very cool for him. So why don't you guys watch this?
Thank y'all. Y'all lifted a burden off my shoulders.
Chris had fallen on some hard times. He needed some transportation to get back and forth to work. And so we knew that he had some money saved up, and Megan McDonald, who also works here, saw a Facebook post of a mutual friend, and they had a car for sale. But we were still a little short on funds for Chris. And so some friends and the family here at Unity Grove and we all came together and raised the extra money that we needed to be able to get Chris the car.
They called me up to the office and it was like they needed my help with something. So I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna, may need to lift some or how the case may be. So as we're walking out, we're walking towards the parking lot here where the car was, parked. And I'm walking and I'm looking like, wow, this the car she drive? I was like, oh, okay, I like Impalas. I'm an Impala child. So we're standing there, we're looking at it, and I'm thinking, I'm standing at the car and I'm like, okay, where's the heavy stuff at? And when I look up, there's the keys in my hand and they're telling me, this is for you. I couldn't do nothing but be froze. I was froze, that's it. Froze, excited.
Our school has been hit really hard with just lots of tragic events over the last year. And in some ways, that's made us better, and it's made us stronger, and it's made us a better family.
It lifted a whole lot up off my shoulders. It did. It was a true blessing.
We love you.
You can't have a community without unity. If everyone is kind and everyone shows love, the world is going to be a much better place.
There is a God. Oh, my stars. Thank you. Thank you all. I thank you all. I thank you all. Yeah, that was a definite great gift.
I absolutely love watching this man's face, especially as he is almost speechless getting that car.
I definitely would be speechless myself. I mean,
I know.
how awesome is that?
I know. Why don't you take us to your next one?
All right, so my next story takes me to a person named Tia Jensen, who was diagnosed with leukemia in 2018 after already battling with multiple sclerosis for 20 years. She started chemotherapy, but basically needed a bone marrow transplant. Well, now you have a guy named Gage Tapp, who's battling depression because he moved to a new state and had partial custody of his children, was just down in the dumps. But he decided to do something very unique, and that was enter the list for bone marrow donations. Within several months, they found a match between Tia and Gage. A few months later, she got the treatment. Positive to say that they're both in the sclerosis and the leukemia are both in remission. And Gage said that he never for once thought about not donating when he found this. And he said that it's actually helped him, with his depression, knowing that because he was here to make the donation versus the alternative of not being here, he was able to help save somebody's life. And they were actually finally able to meet on the Today Show and both expressed how each other's separate situations helped.
Yeah.
Each other.
Yeah. It's amazing what it looks like to give to another person, especially in moments like that. Moments like that. All right, here's my last story. Many of us will remember the horrific scenes, the videos, and all the different stuff that we saw from 2020 in Minneapolis after the death of George Floyd. We saw so much anger. We saw so much violence and rage. We experienced racism. We saw all sorts of horrible things. And yet, there is a community of people who are doing all sorts of really good things simply by being there and present. One of the cool things that's been happening in the last few months, really going back to earlier this year, and this was started by a lady named Gloria Howard, is that these churches, two churches specifically, Shiloh Temple and New Salem Missionary Baptist Church, have decided that they are going to go into some of the most dangerous areas of the Minneapolis community. And they are just going to take their lawn chairs and they're going to have a seat and they're going to sit together. They're going to meet people. They're going to get to know stories. They're going to talk to police officers just like they talk to those people who might look a little bit scary and a little bit different than us. And they are going to be a presence of kindness and care. Now, what's crazy about this is that the Minneapolis Police Department is reporting that thanks to these people's efforts and their simple presence, that crime in many of these areas is already starting to go down.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Simply because they're there, talking to people, and being a presence of kindness. Now, what's crazy about that whole situation is the simplicity of it. And I think that's where we, as we think about the Madera way and the way that we want to live our lives and be a presence, regardless of our companies that we work with or the departments that we're in, is that we want to be like that. We just want to be a presence of kindness because, like you've said, Oscar, many different times, you never know what people are going through. You never know what they need. But our presence of kindness and care and willingness to just learn stories can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how big, and I think I've said this on the show many times, is that no matter how big or how small the gesture, just the smallest thing could make somebody's day. And I truly hold that to heart.
Yeah. One of the best things you can do is to truly just be present for others. And so we want to thank you for joining us. We want you to have a great day. We want you to know that the world is good and people are good and you can continue to do good things and make a massive impact. Have a good one.
Thank you.